Hi, I'm joined today by John Chambers, former CEO and chairman of Cisco, current CEO of JC2 Ventures, and founder of Nile.
It's a pleasure, Scott.
Yeah, thank you for joining us. And then Pankaj Patel, the former EVP and Chief Development Officer at Cisco, where he ran a team of 28,000 engineers, and now the Nile CEO. Welcome both.
It's going to be fun. Pankaj, changing an industry one more time.
It's our opportunity, John.
It is. Yeah. No pressure on you with your questions.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so we've had a few questions to ask these two individuals today. The first of which, John, so we've talked a lot about just complexity and how complexity's shaped industries in the past. So I'd love to hear your thoughts around just complexity and in the context of Nile.
So when you think about it, what Pankaj and I have always done is we got a business transition combined with new technology. And we did that as an industry leader, almost always one or two player in each category that we've done it, and then we did it with a bunch of startups together. Now we're going to do it and change the whole networking industry. And if you think about the networking industry, the business model change, it's way too expensive. 75% of the costs of networks are operating costs, which we think we can eliminate the vast majority of. And the equipment is still expensive. It's a $100 billion market combined. If you watch what happens is the traditional incumbents who come into market, they keep doing the right thing too long. And they continue to just evolve and incremental improvement. What happens is usually a disruption 10 to 20 years into that cycle where the next generation leaders come in and they focus on simplicity. They focus on ease of use, dramatically lower cost of ownership, and the ability to not do it with a huge complex staff, with a lot of security complexity, etc. So if you rethink what we're doing, we're simply disrupting the next generation of technology for the enterprise and small to medium business with a security umbrella that makes it so easy to operate.
You talk about timing. So right now, why is this important today? What sort of factors are you seeing today that necessitates this happen now?
Well, if you watch at every IT organization around the world, they really want to focus their resources on getting the benefits to their end user employees and customers. And today, the majority of the IT organization is spending their time on operational complexity, making it, quote, all work together, and they want to spend it on outcomes. So it allows them to realign their resources for those outcomes. Secondly, you have brand new technologies really driving this. Artificial intelligence, the movement to the cloud, cloud to the edge, data analytics, and a new form of easy to use security. And the third element is exactly what we saw during the pandemic with companies like Zoom capturing, just make it easy to do the video from home. And it's almost a verb, if you will, now. If we do it right, now will become a verb in the enterprise and small to medium market, talking about the next generation of how networks will be delivered.
Mm-hmm. Good. So I'm going to turn a question to you, Pankaj. First of all, let's introduce Nile to the audience. Can you talk a little bit about just Nile as a company?
Nile is all about providing a holistic service, which is based on completely redesigned platform to really provide a very high performance, high security, and high reliability wire and wireless experience inside an enterprise. This is a company which has built a networking technology based on principles of extreme simplicity, unbelievable security. It's hardened, built in from scratch, ground up, based on the principles of a zero trust, and with a very different and unique consumption model, really supporting a life cycle management without management, right, honestly. And this is being delivered by the first in the industry performance-based guarantee that nobody else can. That's what Nile does, and that's what Nile is about.
So Nile's not a new company. It's been around for a little while, coming out of stealth right now. Can you just take us back in history?
Sure. So Nile was formed in 2018, and this was a shared vision between John and I that we started the company with. This is a vision which is deeply grounded in long sought after simplicity for the enterprise networks, right? This is also a company which really took security as a new paradigm that we are going to really set in the industry, where we are really building this from ground up on the principles of zero trust once again, and which will deliver something very, very unique, where the customers and CEOs can have a peace of mind, and they can have a little confidence into how their networks are being run, right? And in order to do this, John and I had to assemble the best and the brightest in the industry, right? We were fortunate to really assemble a team of the pioneers and the visionaries in networking security, and artificial intelligence. So 4 years of hard work have created an incredible team, amazing system at the end of the day, and a very new and bold standard for network as a service for the enterprise. That's what we have done.
That's great. John, I'm going to bring this next one back to you.
Okay.
You've been part of the networking world for a very long time. Enterprise networking is not new. How do you think Nile and just the shift in Nile's approach will change the market?
Well, I think it's a fundamental change in the industry that's way overdue. The customers in the networking industry, they just want the networks to work. They want to be able to deploy them quickly. They want to be able to be protected and get automatically upgraded as you move forward. And they want to spend their resources on producing results for their employees and for their customers. So it is a fundamental change that is overdue in the industry, and one you can only do if you had the experience of being able to have a clean slate and a foundation to build upon, and literally everything was designed from the beginning to work together. The industry evolved much like the prior generation of networks. We're adding features at a time where the majority of features never even got used. And what we did at our prior company at Cisco is we disrupted the traditional incumbents. Now what we're looking at is disrupting the current incumbents with a different model, using the new technology such as AI, data analytics, the ability to use cloud, new form of security, new purchasing models, and literally to be able to do it without an IT staff, and to use your IT staff where they really get leverage for the customer.
How do you think, or how do you think the incumbents will respond, or can they even respond to this?
Well, it's always interesting to watch, and you have tremendous respect for the incumbents. They've done an amazing job. But every incumbent in the high-tech industry is getting disrupted. And it's been a long run for traditional networking players. It is hard to build a system from scratch and migrate your install base. So it's the classic, how do you sell your products today and how you're going to have to sell them in the future? And do you have the courage to completely disrupt yourself? Traditionally, incumbents have not been able to do that, but it also has to be started with a clean architecture, with the pieces working together and changing the business model. And we have, and we'll probably talk about it later, the strongest partnering organization from the very scratch that's ever been done in a startup in our industry segment, with over 25 key strategic partners who understand not just the advantage to their customers, they understand how their profits will be made differently in the future. So I think you're going to see a complete disruption in the industry. And Pankaj, our goal is to do it one more time.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to bring this next question back to you, Pankaj. And I think we've touched on elements of this, but I really want to kind of drill down into Nile's unique approach. Like what makes Nile's approach to these pain points that we've talked about so unique?
So there are two major points that we highlight. One is this extreme simplicity. How did we go about doing that, right? That's one of your questions, clearly. For over 4 years now, we have worked very hard and focused our energy on identifying, analyzing, and eliminating the top 100 issues which have impacted network reliability. And when we did that, during that process, what we found out is that we uncovered a lot of issues that were right at the root of the complexities built in the implementations of the capabilities, with a lot of human touch and the config issues, right? So when we saw that, we say, our goal is not to solve the problems. Our goal is to eliminate them. That is what is so unique and different about us, right? We didn't go after incremental approach anywhere, right? And so we basically designed, to John's point, we designed everything from ground up: hardware, firmware, software, app layer, our portal in the cloud. Everything is designed from scratch with a new consumption model, right? And by the way, this is all designed with a unique goal in mind, which is how do we get rid of the operational overhead and how do we minimize the operational risk for our customers, right? And so to that end, when I look back at the Nile team, I don't believe that any other team would have been able to do what we have done, which is, this is an amazing team who have networking at the core of what they have done for more than 20 years, right? In my humble opinion, they have the currency and the courage to start from whiteboard and go back to scratch and start the whole movie again. And that's what we have done.
It's unusual for a team to do that, and it really speaks to Pankaj's leadership. We've watched people over decades get disrupted in every high-tech area, and it's always traditionally done the same way. The first set of wave of players consolidated an industry, a single standard, if you will, de facto open standard, and the next generation comes in and takes the next wave of technology and does it at dramatically lower cost, dramatically easier simplicity, and a different business model for achieving the goals. But what we are bringing is what we've done best over the years: fanatical approach to customer success, trust. The best of my knowledge, Pankaj, you and I can go into any enterprise customer, small to medium business customer in the world because we've always delivered for them. And we've done it with our startups that we worked on together in other categories as well. So you have the track record, you have the trust, you combine with that the relationships where we can call on anybody in the industry as well, and you're capturing all these new technologies at the same time.
I want to build on that because you touched on earlier about the partner ecosystem that Nile has developed. I think that's a big part of being able to call on some of the relationships of the past. Can you just talk about the importance of that partner ecosystem and just the partner system that Nile has developed?
If you watch, one of the things that we've done very well in our prior history is we had not just a direct organization, but we had the best partnering organization in the industry. And we always focused for how did the partners deliver the changes that the customers needed, but also how do they make money? And so we start with the basics. Why is this a win for the partners? And as you see the announcement of 25 partners at the time we come out of stealth, unbelievable, and big names in the industry, because they realize this is where their future is going to go as well, and this is where the industry is going. So when you really think about disruption, you want to think about how do you help your customers disrupt themselves and do it at dramatically lower cost, a much quicker time to market and ease of use and secure. But you also want to think about the partner ecosystem that will help them scale and grow. So we've always built the #1 partnering organization in the world with the best partnering satisfaction and customer success. We're going to do that again. And we've always built the best customer satisfaction as well. So we're going to hopefully do this one more time together.
Good. So that's it for the official rounds of questions. I just want to leave it to, is there any other comments, any other...
Well, I love to ask questions, and they'll probably cut these out, Pankaj. But a little bit, brag on your team a little bit. Talk about the experience level and how you put the team together.
So, John, this has been an incredible journey, as you know, right from day one. And we have been in stealth mode for the longest time. But when we would talk to some of the brightest people who are fellows and distinguished engineers
from all the industry
from the industries. And by the way, we have hired people from not just from the entrenched incumbents, but we have also hired people from the cloud players. We have hired people from Google's and Facebook's and other companies, and a lot of startups around the globe. So, and when we were able to articulate our vision and we were able to convey to them that what we have set out to do and what our mission is, which is to really change paradigm in a major way, people got it. And people say, wow, this is an incredible opportunity to be with us. So, for a small startup to hire over 100 engineers in a short time. And we have, by the way,
In stealth mode. When
in
you
a
can't
stealth mode.
say what the name of the company is even when you introduce them.
And by the way, we have hired people on an average with a lot of experience. We have people on average with 20 years or more of experience, both here as well as in India, both the locations we have hired. And one other fact that John, is that our attrition rate through these 4 years has been remarkably low. It's been in single low digit, right, as our attrition rate. That just shows you that it's kind of a resonance to the mission and what we are set out to do. And I'm very proud of the team and some of the co-founders that, like Sri and Suresh, who have really worked very hard to help us build this incredible team.
It's amazing what Pankaj and team have done, but it also goes back to vision and strategy is very important for a company, which I love the vision and strategy, but it's about execution. And as I've often been teased, execution is for real professionals, but it's about culture. Yeah. And establishing a culture from the beginning that is truly focused on the customer, that has a single mission, such ease of simplicity that's going to disrupt with simplicity, and to do it with bringing together the next generation of technologies in the industry. What shocked me was the first beta that you did. And I think we went out and you just want the beta to work over time. It usually takes time. It got installed quickly without an IT staff, the very first one.
Yeah, if I can brag a little bit about it, talk about it, John. This is an incredible experience in life, because we both have come from many years of being in the industry where it took many resources and a lot of budget dollars to achieve what was done. Just to set the stage, this is in middle of pandemic, December 2020. Even the first COVID shot was not out. Nobody was going to travel. We said, gee, where do we test this? I was very paranoid. I said, if I try to do this in Silicon Valley, the word will leak out. So we found a customer of all the places in Nova Scotia and far away from here. And I said, the only person who will go there will be somebody who loves lobster really bad in the middle of the winter. And this is an e-commerce company, a 3-floor small building. Customer never saw our equipment. By the way, we have followed the principles of Apple when it comes to simplicity. We make no manuals. There is no configuration anybody touches, period, right? No config guide. Equipment went straight from the factory in Asia directly to the end customer. Got delivered. We have made everything simple, including the packaging to installation. Customer pulled out 23 pieces of gear from these packages, never seeing the equipment. There is no CCI, there is no one on the site other than a technician and a CIO. They were, and we were watching this on video, they were through the simple mobile app that we provide for installation, they were able to bring up the entire network and the service in less than 2 hours. Talk about something traditionally which would take weeks and months. That is something that we were able to achieve. That gave me a data point that we are on to something.
It really does. So how big can this be, Pankaj? You're very conservative in nature, but what do you think we can do here?
I think we can build a big company, John, here. And by that, what I mean is that we have, even in these early days, we have visibility into several million users today. It takes a while to convert these users into the profile, but I believe that this is a company where we potentially can achieve several hundreds of millions of dollars of the ARR in a short timeline. I honestly believe that. I believe that we can build a pretty large company, primarily for a couple of reasons. One, you highlighted very well about the TAM of the market itself. It's huge. The second is our customer base is huge, as opposed to a typical SaaS company where they will sell it to HR function, they will sell it to finance, they'll sell it to sales and marketing or engineering for that matter. we sell it to an enterprise. Every enterprise user or an employee has to be a consumer of connectivity. So which means that the entire enterprise user base can be a customer. So the user base itself is giant, number one. And number two, our ARPU that we will charge is in a very different, pretty high ballpark compared to what you see on a typical SaaS service. So combination of the two factors can really give us a pretty big leg up in terms of the kind of a growth that we can achieve in this company.
So the days, at least for our customers, are over where they purchase equipment and then have to do major upgrades.
Absolutely.
They just purchase the service, we make it a win-win and very quickly move through it.
I agree, John. And we have, when you touched base on this earlier, we have touched on every aspect of what the customers end up in going through from the point of view of simplicity. That's why one of our goals is to get an unfair share from the entrenched and the incumbents by delivering on the promise of simplicity that the customers have been asking for so long.
Well, I think it's more than a fair share, and our target has always been a minimum of 40%.
Absolutely.
So we'll see if we can do it one more time, Scott. Any last questions from you?
I have one. So we talked a lot about disruption, right, over the course of these questions. At the end of the day, there's individuals who might look at this change as threatening to themselves. And I'd like to just get both of your perspectives, right? We have network engineers, operators, architects that might look at something like this, and particularly a move to as a service, as threatening. I'd love to just get your perspectives, right? How should people that are in this industry today be looking at this change, and what opportunities does that present to them going into the future?
Well, I think it is time for the industry to change, and I think most IT professionals who are in the traditional install, maintain, troubleshooting type mode understand that they want to spend their time getting outcomes for the customer and for their employer. And the employers get this as well as the area. So you want to spend these very valuable and expensive resources on producing outcomes and things that are just fundamental. You just plug and play, and you have the network connectivity with the security with ease of use. So you don't have to be even trained yourself as a user like we did in our early days of it. So I think it's one that you need to explain to people what we're doing, but they will get it very quickly, just like the customers do and just like the partners do. The partners are saying, I have to have a new business model. I have to have a different way of making money, and I want to focus on outcome for the customers as opposed to squeezing that last 1% or 2% out in a very tough margin market. So I think you will see the industry respond well. Anytime you disrupt, there are a lot of people that are uncomfortable with change. You find the early innovators, and then it just becomes self-fulfilling with the momentum you pick up. Pankaj, your thoughts?
No, John, you articulated it very well. And when I look at what goes on inside the IT shop or on the security side, there is a lot of time and energy wasted on a lot of mundane tasks, a lot of repetitive tasks, which honestly do not add the value to the enterprise. If we are able to free up those cycles and have the enterprises, have the IT team focus on the tasks which are more important, the things which are more critical to the success of IT, such as on security, which has always been the front and center, where this is being provided by monitoring 24/7 service, where it automatically tunes the service automatically, right? Now you're free. And I mean, we have some examples from not that far out, right? When AWS came out with the cloud offers, and then Microsoft and GCP came out with it, there were fears among the data center engineers to say, how is it going to turn us all upside down? None of that happened. As a matter of fact, people got into more interesting areas of data analytics and higher value-added job. And if I may add the last point, today, IT at large, all around the globe, is struggling to hire qualified IT and security jobs. So in my opinion, this can only help.
So if you think about it in summary, Scott, you're talking about a next generation wave in the industry. You're talking about disruptive simplicity that we've seen other players do again and again in the industry. Apple as an example, Zoom as an example, except this time it's done from a clean slate with people who understand the prior products very well, but leverage the brand new technologies in cloud and data analytics and AI we talked about. You're talking about $100 billion industry where 3/4 of it is operational expenses, not even the equipment. And most of that is complexity that the user does not want at all. And so you're completely changing the business model. So that's why we get so excited when we talk about it, and why I'm honored after 26 years of working together that we're going to work together for the next decade.
That's great. Well, with that, I think we can wrap this up. I want to thank you very much for your time, John and Pankaj, for joining us today, and excellent answers.
Thank you.
Thank you.